My hair is still damp, and that's because it takes like 7 hours for my hair to air dry. And I was not about to wait 7 hours to record this video. Why did I stop smoking reefer? Before I get into the reasons why I stopped smoking, I just want to make it clear. I'm not trying to demonize people who smoke weed. I'm not trying to convince people to stop smoking weed. I'm not even trying to demonize weed or say that weed is bad. There's actually a lot of positive things I can still say about weed, even though I don't smoke weed anymore. It's just my personal preference. It's just something that's personal to me. And I feel like if you're watching this video, it's either just because you're curious as to why I stopped smoking weed, or you kind of have a thought in your head that you need to stop smoking weed, or that you want to stop smoking weed, and you need some type of motivation or push to actually do it. And I know that when I first made the decision to stop smoking weed, I just told myself I'm gonna stop smoking weed for a week. But deep down, I felt like I needed to go longer than that. I needed to, it's hard to explain because I'm not saying that I will never, ever, ever, ever hit a joint again. But as far as me doing it on a regular, daily basis, like, that will never happen again. The first time I got high, I was 19 going on 20. And I remember I kept going up and down the stairs, and I kept saying, I feel like I'm in the Looney Tunes. I feel like I'm in the Looney Tunes. And my friends, they were like, Kyla, you gotta chill. You gotta relax. You gotta chill. And it's not even like I was scared or I was panicking. It was really just the fact that I had never felt that feeling before. And I didn't really know what was going on. I mean, so I guess you could say I was panicking a little. But I didn't feel like I was going to die or anything. It was just more of like, I've never felt this way before. I feel like I don't have control over myself. Like, I like it, but at the same time, I don't like it because I don't have control over myself and I'm a control freak. So what is going on? So yeah, that night I didn't go to sleep till 2 a.m. and I didn't wake up till 2 p.m. So I slept for 12 hours, and I'm not going to lie, that was the best sleep I've ever got in my life. So after the first time I got high, I didn't become a pothead. I would say probably a few years later, May of 2017 is when I started smoking on a daily basis. And then September of 2017 is when I realized that I had a drinking problem. So I stopped drinking for 3 months, and I also stopped smoking for 3 months because I felt like I needed to be completely sober. And then December of 2017, once my 3 months of sobriety was over, that's when I started smoking on a daily basis again. And I was pretty much smoking probably a year and a half every single day. And then it got to a point where I'm like, I'm not even really getting as high anymore. In order for me to get as high as I used to, I would have to smoke even more than I smoke now. And I didn't want to do that because I'm like, okay, first of all, that costs money. Weed is not free. I'm going to have to be spending more money if I want to get higher. And also, I felt like I didn't like the feeling of something controlling me. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I feel like weed was controlling me. I felt like there was a lot of negative thought patterns and negative emotions and issues that I had with myself that I was trying to run away from and escape from. And I was using weed as a way to escape from those things and to run from those things. And I'm not saying that everybody who smokes weed uses it for that reason or that has issues, or I'm not saying anything about anybody that smokes weed. I'm just speaking for myself. That's it. Another reason why I stopped smoking was because I started to see how it was affecting my voice. Not only am I a YouTuber, but I'm a singer. I'm an artist. And I am going to be honest to say I've never had the strongest singing voice. I've never had like the loudest singing voice. I don't have a powerhouse voice. I'm very aware of that, and I'm very comfortable with that and okay with that. Like, I kind of have a soft voice. is what it is. But I'm gonna be honest, when I started smoking on a daily basis, I noticed that my voice got weaker. Not even just my singing voice, but even my speaking voice. And I've always had issues with breathing and, just having a soft voice and having trouble projecting my voice. But I feel like it got even worse when I started smoking on a regular basis. And a long time before I decided to stop smoking, I saw Kehlani tweet something like, my doctor said I have to choose either between smoking or singing. So she was pretty much saying the reason why she stopped smoking was because smoking was affecting her singing voice. And at the time, I was like, man, get out of here. I know a ton of people who smoke and still sing, and they're just fine. But now I finally understand what she was saying and what she was talking about. At the end of the day, you can't compare yourself. You can't compare yourself to other people. You have to look at yourself and see how things are affecting you. If something is negatively affecting you, then you have to make a decision based off of that. You can't say, oh, well, this person's able to do this and they don't have any problems, so why can't I? You are two completely different humans, so you always have to keep that in mind. Another reason why I would stop smoking is because there was so many times where I would start smoking and my heart would start beating really, really fast. And this didn't happen as soon as I started smoking on a daily basis, but I would say probably a year into me smoking on a daily basis, anytime I would start smoking, hitting a joint or smoking out of the bowl or whatever I was smoking out of, my heart would start beating really fast, like boom, 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 boom. And at first, I was like, damn, maybe this is anxiety. Maybe this is stress. But there would even be times where I wasn't stressed, where I wasn't anxious, where I was completely calm. I was completely chilling. I wasn't worried about nothing. I meditated. I had a good day. And as soon as I would start hitting that joint, or as soon as I would start smoking out of my bowl, my heart would start beating like crazy. And I'm like, damn, is this related to smoking? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just anxiety. Maybe it's just this, da da da. But once I started doing my Google homework, I started, doing my little research. I'm the Google queen. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be Googling stuff. I'll be looking up stuff. I'll be reading stuff. But once I started reading a lot of articles that talk about like the side effects of smoking weed, and one of them was having a fast heartbeat. One of the articles that I read, it was a really good article. But it pretty much said that studies show that when you smoke weed, it makes your heartbeat a lot faster than it would if you, were sober. And I was like, damn. So this is obviously related to the smoking. And at the time when I was realizing a lot of these things, I didn't want to admit that it was because of smoking. But deep down in my soul, I knew it was because of smoking. But I didn't want to admit it because, like I said, I love Mary Jane. I love reefer. I love getting high. But it becomes a certain point where you're like, is this thing that I love really helping me or is it hindering me? And that's the point where I finally got to with weed. And I'm going to be honest. I told myself, like, damn, I don't know if I can ever have kids because I don't know if I will ever be able to go without smoking weed for 9 months or 10 months or however long. Another reason why I stopped smoking was because I constantly have phlegm in my throat. Even when I wasn't sick, I didn't have a sore throat or anything like that. I would constantly cough. And that's because I have phlegm built up in my throat from smoking. And a lot of times people think you can only have health issues if you're smoking cigarettes, but you can have health issues if you're smoking marijuana. And the thing that I don't like is I feel like because marijuana is becoming more legal and is such a trendy thing, especially throughout music, people feel like, oh, marijuana is just all great. Everything about marijuana is great and awesome. And I feel like people are in denial about the negative side effects with marijuana. Even me, I was one of those people. And like I said, I'm not trying to convince anybody to stop smoking weed, but I just have to be honest. I feel like weed is something that has been made cool. Like people are like, "Oh, I'm a hippie, so I smoke weed. Weed makes me feel calm and peaceful and blah blah blah." And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but at the same time, be real about the negative side effects of smoking weed, because there is negative side effects. I don't care if you smoke weed 24/7. There is negative side effects and there's negative things about weed that a lot of people don't talk about. And I feel like you do have people who are extreme, who are like, weed is bad and weed is this and this and that, and it makes you lazy and da da da. And some of those things are true, but some of those things are not true, and people are just really being biased because they've never smoked weed. So I completely understand that side too. People who have never smoked weed, they demonize it and have a negative opinion about it, but when they don't really know much about it. But I will be honest and say, another reason why I stopped smoking weed, because it made me very fatigued. I am not exaggerating when I say almost every single day I would take a 2 to 3 hour nap because I would be high as and it made me feel so fatigued and tired. And I didn't even realize that weed was making me so tired and fatigued all the time. There were so many times where I had to force myself to go to the gym, where I had to force myself to do this, I had to force myself to do that. And it was because I was high as fuck. And really, if it was up to me, I would just sit on YouTube and watch videos on YouTube all day when I was high, because I would kind of be in la la land. You know, nothing ever really bothered me. I didn't really care about anything. I would just want to just be free, quote unquote. But really, you're not free. You're really controlled, and you don't even realize that there's something controlling you. And that's just my opinion. That's just my personal experience with marijuana. Another reason why I stopped smoking was because I didn't like the way that it made me look. I don't like walking around with red eyes or low eyes. I don't like people being able to easily tell that I'm high. And another thing about smoking, whether it's smoking cigarettes or it's smoking marijuana, it does age you. It makes you look older. And that was another thing that I started to notice about myself, and I really did not like that. Another reason why I stopped smoking was because I feel like it made me feel anxious. Some people will say that smoking helped their anxiety or helped their depression, but I feel like it made mine worse. I feel like I would be more anxious and more paranoid when I was super high. So yeah, that was something that I didn't really like either. Last but not least, I stopped smoking because of the money. Obviously, weed isn't free. And when I calculated, okay, that was my watch. But yeah, when I calculated how much I spent on weed in the past year, I was spending like $25 to $30 a week on weed. That's a little over $1,500 a year. That's $1,500 I could have had in my savings account. But instead, I was spending it on weed when it wasn't really doing much for me. I didn't really have much to show for it. And there's people who smoke way more than I do. Way more than I do. They'll tell me, yeah, how much you spend a month on weed is nothing. I spend $300 to $400 a month on weed. And when I add that shit up to a year, I'm like, yo, you could have so much money saved up. And I have too much stuff that I'm trying to accomplish, and I have too much things that I'm trying to invest in. I can't afford to be spending that much on marijuana or anything else, especially considering the fact that I'm part-time. So I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. As much as I love Mary Jane, it's just not worth it. I don't really have much to show for it, and it really doesn't do much for me. Especially now because my tolerance, is higher. There's really no point. Freeze. I forgot to mention one of the most important reasons why I stopped smoking weed was because it was messing with my memory. See, I even forgot to mention it in the video. Yeah, so I found this diagram about how weed affects different parts of your body. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I post that. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from smoking. I'm not trying to convince anybody to stop smoking. I'm just sharing my experience. And if you have any experience with it, or if you're struggling with it, or whatever the case is, feel free to comment, because y'all already know I love to talk. I love having conversations about this type of stuff. Deuces. Bye.